I saw my mother in my father's bedroom with another man. They were naked. In that moment, my world shattered into pieces. My hand started shaking. My chest felt tight and my heart was pounding so loudly I thought it would burst. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I felt betrayed. I felt broken. I felt destroyed. But that was not even the worst part. What happened after that incident, what I later discovered, is something that will break your heart into pieces. Because the truth I uncovered did not just destroy my parents' marriage, it destroyed our entire family. This is how it started. My name is Daniela. I'm in my 20s, a final year university student. Before that day, before everything fell apart, I believed my parents had the perfect marriage. People admired them, neighbors envied them, and even relatives used their marriage as an example of true love. My father was a hard-working businessman. He traveled from country to country building his company, working day and night to give us the best life. We lived comfortably and lacked nothing. We had a beautiful house, good schools, nice clothes, and family vacations. My father loved my mother deeply. He showered her with gifts, affection, and attention in front of us. Sometimes he would hold her hand in the living room and say, "I'm lucky to have you," and my mother would smile shyly like a new bride. Watching them made me believe in love and made me promise myself that I would never settle for less. But sometimes, the love we admire the most is hiding the deepest secrets. One afternoon during my holiday, I asked my mother a simple question. "Mom, aren't you lonely when Dad travels for weeks or even months?" She laughed lightly and said, "Your father is a good man. He takes care of us. Why would I complain?" Then she added something that stayed in my mind. Marriage is about patience. I nodded, but deep down, I wondered how she managed to stay alone for so long. Little did I know, she was never truly alone. One evening, my father returned home unexpectedly. He wanted to surprise us. He walked into the house smiling and carrying shopping bags filled with gifts, but my mother was not home. We waited and waited, hours passed. Finally, around 11 p.m., the door opened and my mother stepped inside. The moment she saw my father sitting in the living room, her face turned pale. She froze and her hands trembled. I didn't know you were coming today," she said quickly. My father looked at her carefully and replied, "So if I told you, you would have rushed home?" She forced a laugh and said, "Of course not, but I noticed something strange." She avoided his eyes, looked nervous and uneasy. That night, I couldn't sleep because something felt wrong, but I ignored the feeling. Weeks later, something else happened that changed the atmosphere in our home. It was my father's birthday. We planned a simple family dinner. We decorated the house with balloons, cooked his favorite meals, and bought him gifts. We were laughing and eating when suddenly there was a loud knock on the door. My father opened the door, and a woman was standing outside. Beside her was a young girl about my age. The woman looked straight into my father's eyes and said, "I came to drop your daughter." The room went silent. My mother froze and I dropped my spoon. "My daughter?" my father asked, confused. The woman nodded and said, "You got me pregnant years ago. I raised her alone, but now she deserves to know her father." My mother gasped and tears filled her eyes. The woman turned around and walked away, leaving the girl standing in our house just like that. Our peace disappeared immediately. My mother became furious and refused to speak to my father. She refused to talk to the girl and refused to even stay in the same room with her. The house became tense and uncomfortable. The girl looked scared and confused, holding her small bag, not knowing where she truly belonged. I felt sorry for her because she was innocent in all of this. My father kept explaining that he never knew about the child, but my mother refused to listen. Days passed and the tension became unbearable. Finally, one evening, my father gathered all of us in the living room. His face looked tired and stressed. He spoke slowly and calmly. "I know this situation has brought pain into this house," he said. "I never knew about this child, but now that she is here, I have a responsibility to take care of her." My mother looked away angrily. Then my father continued, "For peace to reign in this house, I have decided to rent another apartment for her. She will live there comfortably, and I will take full responsibility for her needs." The room became quiet. My mother didn't respond, but the anger was still clear on her face. A few days later, my father fulfilled his promise. He rented an apartment for the girl, furnished it, and made sure she had everything she needed. After settling her there, he returned home looking exhausted, as if the burden on his shoulders had become heavier. But the tension between my parents did not disappear. The silence in the house became deeper than before. Weeks later, my father announced that he would be traveling again for business. He stood in the living room with his suitcase and said quietly, "I have a business conference abroad. I will be gone for some time." My mother didn't look at him and didn't respond. She simply sat there in silence with a cold expression on her face. My father sighed deeply, picked up his suitcase and walked out of the house. I returned to school shortly after that. But after my father traveled, I started noticing something strange. Very strange. I began seeing my mother's WhatsApp status almost every day. At first it looked normal, shopping pictures, restaurant outings, and new clothes, but slowly her behavior started changing. She began dressing differently, wearing more revealing clothes, heavy makeup, and going out late at night. She started going on trips she never told anyone about, posting pictures in hotels and expensive places. Every single day, there was a new status. I stared at those pictures in shock, and one question kept running through my mind. Is my father seeing this? Because if he saw those pictures, it would break his heart. But I kept quiet because she was my mother, and I didn't want to disrespect her. One day I called her. "Mom, I saw your status. You traveled again?" She sounded annoyed and said yes. I paused and asked, "What about the boys? You didn't tell me you were traveling. Who is taking care of them?" She replied quickly, "The nanny is at home." Then her voice became sharp. "Do you expect me to lock myself inside this house after what your father did to me?" I tried to comfort her and said, "Mom, Dad didn't do anything intentionally. It was a mistake. That woman never told him he had a child." She didn't respond and ended the call. That conversation made me uneasy. Something felt wrong, very wrong. Days passed and her behavior became more suspicious. That was when fear started growing inside me because my father had no idea what was happening and my younger brothers were still at home. So I made a decision quietly. I packed my bags and returned home without informing my mother. I decided to start going to school from home so I could stay close to my siblings and watch what was happening. The day I arrived home, something felt strange immediately. The house was too quiet. No TV, no laughter, no movement. Then I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. A pair of men's shoes near my parents' bedroom and a tie on the floor. My heart started beating fast. I assumed my father had come back early. Slowly, I walked toward the bedroom, step by step. My hands began to shake and my breathing became heavy. The door was slightly open. I pushed it gently and then I saw them, my mother and a man naked on my father's bed. My scream filled the entire house. My body started shaking uncontrollably and tears poured down my face. I ran outside gasping for air. I felt like my heart had been torn apart. But the nightmare was only beginning. Hours later, my father returned home and I told him everything, every single detail. At first he refused to believe me. But when he confronted her, she broke down and confessed. She had been seeing that man for 10 years. 10 years of lies, 10 years of betrayal, 10 years of deception. My father collapsed on the floor and cried like a child. That same night, one of my younger brothers suddenly became very sick. We rushed him to the hospital and the doctor said he needed a blood transfusion immediately. I volunteered, but my blood didn't match. My father tried, but still no match. The doctor then recommended a DNA test. Hours later, the results came back. My father walked out of the doctor's office with trembling hands and said in a broken voice, "They are not my children." Silence filled the room. My two younger brothers were not his sons. Only me was truly his child. That was when my mother finally confessed the full truth. The boys belonged to her ex-boyfriend, the same man I caught in my father's bed. My father screamed, cried, and fell to the floor shouting, "What did I do to deserve this?" That same night, he packed his bags and filed for divorce. Before leaving, he called my name softly, "Daniela." I walked toward him with tears in my eyes. He held my hand tightly and said in a broken voice, "Daniela, I am traveling back to Paris. You are the only daughter I have left. After your final year exams, you will come to Paris and live with me. You and the daughter I have outside, you two are the only daughters I have." He paused, struggling to speak. "I am done with this marriage. I don't want to stay where my heart has been destroyed. What could I have done to deserve this? Your mother has dealt with me in a way that I may never heal from." Behind us, my mother fell to the floor, crying, begging, screaming, and apologizing. But my father didn't turn back. He walked out of the house without looking back. And that was the day our family ended. Not because of death, but because of betrayal. Sometimes the deepest wounds are not caused by strangers. They are caused by the people we trust the most. Tell me honestly, if you were in my father's position, would you forgive or walk away forever?
Don't forget to like, comment, and share this story. And subscribe for more powerful stories like this.